Hello everyone, it is Olivia Grace and I am back with another video for you guys. Today's video is about manifesting miracles, and I have a couple of success stories to go along with it. This technique is something that is miraculous, honestly, and I can really explain it better by just jumping into the first story. So this story, this is how I actually came across the technique. It was a man whose daughter was sick, and she actually kind of manifested herself sick. She was watching the movie Madeline, and if you've seen Madeline, you know in the movie Madeline gets appendicitis. And the girl watched the movie and became terrified of getting appendicitis. And lo and behold, she created appendicitis in her own body and manifested that illness. And it got so bad to the point to where she was in the hospital, hooked up to tubes, like basically on her deathbed. They didn't know if she was going to make it or not. And so her father, seeing her basically on her deathbed, seeing her hooked up to all these tubes, and comes across this technique called the state akin to sleep. If you research it, some people call it SATS. And basically, as you're falling asleep, you envision a scene that means that your manifestation has happened already. So you're basically living in the end. You create the scene in your mind, and the scene, so for him, with his daughter being sick, his scene was that she was dancing. She was doing a pirouette. She used to do ballet. So, because obviously if she's dancing, then she's completely healed. She's hooked up to tubes and stuff like that in the hospital. But if he's seeing her in front of him do a pirouette, then obviously she's healed. So he did this technique. I can't remember how long he did it, but it wasn't more than like a few days or weeks. And his daughter was healed. The crazier thing about this story was that her appendix self-amputated itself. So the doctors didn't even go in and get the appendix out. Her body amputated the appendix by itself, created scar tissue around the amputation, like around the appendix, inside of her body, without any doctor or anyone going in physically or surgically and removing it or doing any of this. And the doctors were like, that's like miraculous, you know? So that is the state akin to sleep. My own personal experience, I used this when I was moving into this apartment, and I was going through a lot of rejection, going through a lot of, you know, all this stuff, not being able to get it. And so I created my own scene. And your scene, you want your scene to be around like 30 seconds or so. You don't want it to be a long scene. You just want to create a scene that means you already have it. You've already achieved whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. So for me, it was being in a luxury apartment. So what I envisioned was myself taking out a lasagna after I told myself when I got my apartment I was going to make this seafood lasagna that I saw this really delicious looking recipe for. Ironically, I still haven't even made that to this day. I've been here for like 6 months or so, but I'm going to. But anyway, I had that idea that when I moved into my apartment, I'm gonna make that seafood lasagna for me and my boyfriend. And so my vision was me taking the lasagna out of the oven and putting it onto the island. And in my vision, I could see the kitchen that I wanted. I could see even the floors. I could see that it even has an island. I could see, you know, that I was in the kind of apartment that I wanted to live in. And for me doing that, I want to say it took maybe a day or two. And the next day we went and toured this apartment and went through that process and got approved and everything like that. So yeah, it's called the state akin to sleep. And again, I'll go over how to do it again. As you want to pick a scene between 30 seconds, like really about 30 seconds is the longest it needs to be, and have this scene replaying in your mind over and over and over as you fall asleep. When you're in between sleep and awake, your subconscious mind is impressionable, much more impressionable than it is when you're fully awake. And that's what makes this so magical. Obviously, you're creating your world. This is what I talk about all the time. And when your subconscious mind also is creating your world. Now, your subconscious mind is a little bit hard to tap into because you're not always aware of what's going on in your subconscious until it manifests itself in your reality. Whereas your conscious mind, you can be aware of what's going on consciously in your brain. But this is a quick, easy technique that you can use to target your subconscious, and it gets rid of all the things that kind of hold us back in manifestation, which is the how. How is this going to happen? I'm sure this man that manifested his daughter well was not thinking, you know, oh, well, I'm sure her body can amputate her appendix. You know, I'm sure he wasn't thinking that's how it was going to go. Even if she was, you know, hooked up to tubes and basically on her deathbed, then I'm sure he wasn't even thinking that the doctors could help her. If they could have helped her, they would have helped her already. So the how, that's where we get caught up. That's where our manifestations don't happen, because we don't see how it can happen. But by coming up with this scene of your manifestation already happening, you're bypassing all the resistance, you're bypassing all the hows and questions that come up in your mind as to why you can or cannot have it. And it puts you right in the end. Neville Goddard actually calls it living from the end, or living in the end, living in the end result of what you're trying to create. And the quicker that you are able to vibrate as a state that has what you want, vibrate and live and be as a person that has what you want, the quicker that you'll be able to actually bring what you want. Not even bring it in, but you actually kind of bring yourself into that reality. All right, guys, so that's what I have for you. Try it. Even if you're in like a desperate situation, this is a manifestation technique I would say is good for a desperate situation, because it just kind of bypasses and can be really quick. And obviously for that man, he was in a desperate situation and it worked for him really well. But that's what I have for you guys today. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, reach out to me. I'll have the booking link in the description. If you're not a part of my group, I'll have that link as well. If you're into manifestation and the things I talk about in my videos, then you should be a part of my group. But other than that, you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll talk to you in the next video.